Hello everyone and welcome to our first HMS event. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here. I can't say that I'm not nervous, although I told some people that I was not nervous at all, but I'm more excited than nervous, and I feel like in the industry we're all like family, and I'm just so happy to be here. And this is Denim After the Loom, the impact of stonewashing. I would like to first thank our sponsors YKK, Master Textile, Bossa, and Minority Denim for making all of this possible. This is me. So I'm gonna start off with a quick video because it's super concise, so much more concise than what I can do here. Please don't mind some of the grammar mistakes, and I'll leave you to the video.
Today, the pumice stone used in the denim industry quickly melts and gets muddy during the stone washing process. This situation causes excessive amounts of stone consumption and prevents the denim production process to be environmentally sustainable. As the widely used natural pumice stone quickly diminishes in size during stone washing, the residue of pumice stone accumulates in wastewater systems and consequently contaminates our natural resources. The residue of pumice stone produced during the stone washing process is not only harmful to the environment, but also counterproductive as the disposal of the pumice stone residual costs too much time and money. The handmade stone is developed in order to eliminate all the disadvantages created by the use of pumice stone in the stone washing process. As a synthetic stone made with recyclable products, the HMS makes stone washing environmentally sustainable. The environmentally friendly HMS is extremely durable, recyclable, and leaves much less residue than the pumice stone. The use of HMS prevents the excessive use of natural pumice stone resources, is cost-effective, and its durability is beneficial for the textile industry. The HMS can be used many times, unlike the pumice stone, a feature that is going to make the HMS an essential component of the denim production process. Moreover, the HMS's physical appearance and effect on the denim products are strikingly similar to that of the pumice stone. The environmentally sustainable, durable, and cost-effective HMS is soon going to be the shining star of the denim industry.
So, this is our video. Quick summary of Sofia. So I want to start with, giving the mic to you. What do you think of when you think of denim and jeans? You can just start saying, you can just shout it out. We're all friends here. Like
History.
History, exactly. Comfort, maybe. What else? Workers, cotton.
Indigo.
Yeah, exactly. How about vintage? Authentic washes, yeah. Maybe some fades there. And does everyone know here how we get those fades on our jeans? Like the one here. Does everyone know? Or is there anyone who doesn't know? So basically, that's going to be the topic of our conversation tonight. So to get stonewashed effect, you need to wash a raw garment that's dyed with indigo with pumice stones, that's the natural mine, and you get the stonewashed effect. So this is what we're going to talk about, and this is what we're going to say that is the best replacement of that product. So this is a pumice resource, and it looks beautiful. This is actually a picture from Italy, and this is another pumice resource. Also, it's just a natural beauty. It's pretty, but then what we do is we go in and we take this resource, we use it, we exploit it kind of. We mine it, and around like millions of tons of pumice is being exported from Turkey, some from Italy, although it shut down because like it was absolutely like fully done. So to put them into the washing machine to get the stone wash effects. If you are not familiar with this is an industrial washing machine in a factory. You basically put 100 garments in it and then 100 kgs of stones and then water, and then you wash it until you get the effects. So that's actually something that no one really talks about and most consumers don't know about, which is confusing to me because like I grew up going to a factory myself because my dad was working there and I thought it was common knowledge, but it's not, let alone how to make it sustainable. And after stone washing, pumice is kind of like chalk and it degrades with water and it creates this sludge. This is a wastewater treatment system of a factory. And the sludge looks like this. It's a toxic sludge that is almost not recyclable at all. And even if you wanted to separate it from chemicals, you would have to use a lot of chemicals like bleach. And the carbon footprint of that is very, very high. The problem here with pumice is that it's actually like a sponge. It soaks up all the chemicals, all the indigo and water, and creates this sludge. And this is like an average daily sludge that a mini-sized company generates. So after this point, you know, most of the slides are going to have this background because I want everyone to see it because no one ever shows this picture to anyone. This is my dad. So my dad has been in the industry for the last 30 years. He's normally a doctor in agricultural engineering. The video that you saw actually was the factory that he built up. It was kind of like a farm too, you know, very green. So he's in love with nature. And then after seeing this, he was like, I need to do something about it. So he dedicated 8 years of his life and did research and development and came up with this stone, handmade stone, which is this. And then I was back there and I wanted to make it global, so it's a family company right now. And this is how the stones look like. And then after talking to customers, after getting a lot of feedback, we realized that there's a lot of advancements in the textile industry, and there's like recycle, there's lyocell, there's like weaker but more sustainable fibers. So we thought we needed to adjust ourselves instead of asking people to change their ways. So we created different sizes of HMS, so size 2, 1, and 0. HMS Light, which floats in the water. Actually, I want to show this to you. So this one sinks in the water like this. And then this one floats in the water. So you can change the density of it and you can change the size of it based on whatever you want. So it makes it a very, very versatile, sustainable option. And then we normally tumble these to get this shape and get this dust, and to be zero waste, we wanted to use that dust to make a fun little tool that is HMS designer pens, which is now on retail, that we are selling to designers, and also we are bringing to schools like CSM and Royal College of Art and Berkeley College and so many trade shows. And this makes for a great workshop experience that's like super easy to do, which we are all gonna do after this event. You're gonna get to experience it, and it bridges the gap between consumers, and behind the scenes in an engaging way. So, we are all about transparency, and we are hoping that with this tool we can create some awareness in the customers so that they can make more informed choices when they're buying their jeans. So before I give it up to Mr. Mohsin, who is also my mentor, I would like to leave you guys with 3 key points. HMS, because it's durable. You can replace 600 tons of pumice, which is the amount of stones you need to wash 1 million garments, which is a monthly production of a mid-sized company. You can replace it with 16 tons of HMS. Imagine the transportation cost, and also the transportation carbon footprint that decreases with that, and also the storage, everything, just the management of it. It also creates zero sludge because it's hydrophobic, meaning it repels water, as opposed to pumice, which is hydrophil, which soaks up water. And because pumice is hydrophilic, it creates 3 kg of sludge out of 1 kg of pumice, and our product also requires 32% less water because with pumice it leaves so much dust on the garment, and to get rid of that you need to do rinse after rinse after rinse, and it's hundreds of liters of water. But because our product doesn't degrade like pumice, it doesn't leave any dust on the garment, so that's hundreds of liters of water saved per garment. So it's the same aesthetic that it gives, it's the same effect, just cleaner and easier. So I would like to give it to Mr. Mohsin, my mentor.
So, get myself started. Hi everybody. My name is Mohsin, and I'm a denim designer. I'm a denim designer for 24 years or so. But my wife works with me, and she's always tirelessly working with me, and she's working here today. So yeah, make sure you say hello to her. That she's 50% of what we do. I met Beyza. It could have been a few years ago now. Beyza, what was it? 2-3 years ago? Yeah. She came up to me at a show. I was at a Transformers conference, quite empty space, and I was sitting in the middle. This lovely girl just came and sat right next to me, and I was like, and she started talking to me, and then we hit it off. And then I was thinking to myself, is she one of my students? It's possible. I teach hundreds of students. So for the first half an hour, I was just thinking, it's too late now. I can't ask her who she is. And then she told me who she was and what she does and her father does, and then we started, and then our journey started. It's a lovely story what her and her father have done, and it's been quite fun ride actually. Not just mentoring, but actually just checking base with her every time and checking what she's up to, and making sure has she got to the right person, or she got to the right meeting, or just introducing her. But she's so well knowledge anyway. Young people like this, you don't need to help them too much. Anyway, enough about this. It's a little video. It's about 5 minutes long. My talk. It's quite funny, and it's about history of jeans. Hopefully it plays right.
The American West, famous for its cowboys, kitted out in Stetsons and denim. But I'm not in California, I'm in Crawley in Surrey, at the Deadwood Western town.
Nowadays, blue jeans may well be synonymous with rockers, bikers, hipsters, but it was places like this in the 19th century that truly gave rise to this everyday item.
To help me trace this incredible jeans journey, I'm meeting jeans historian Mohsin Sajid.
So, Mohsin, does the story of denim begin in America?
Well, actually, the story of denim, or denim, probably most likely starts in Europe, in Italy and France. There's lots of historical reference with weaving that comes from France and our Italian friends.
So I've heard a sort of like story saying that denim itself means denim from Nîmes, which is in France.
Correct.
That jeans is also another corruption of a European Genoa. Is this true?
Absolutely correct. So all of these tailors went over to America and they took all that knowledge with them.
For many in the mid-19th century, America was the land of opportunity, and the infamous gold rushes saw hundreds and thousands of fortune hunters make their way west.
So what have we got here?
This is a 1840s full front garment.
They don't look anything like jeans, do they?
No, they're all workwear. They were made for putting on top of another garment.
They're sort of protective covers. No fly. This is how you get access.
The fly wasn't invented yet.
These gold prospectors needed clothing that could cope with the stresses and strains of mining. And so they were closely followed by opportunistic business owners who saw their own chance to cash in.
There was one in particular called Jacob Davis, a Latvian-born Jewish immigrant tailor. And he was making garments for all the gold and silver miners. The thing is, people were filling up their pockets with tools and rock, and the fabric wasn't as strong as it is now, so of course it would tear away. Jacob Davis came up with the idea of like riveting garments for the very first time. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be wearing jeans like today.
A rivet is simply a permanent mechanical fastener. By hammering them into points of strain, like the pocket seams, the jeans became stronger. The invention was an instant hit.
But nobody's ever heard of Jacob
I know,
Davis.
absolutely right. But he had a really genius idea, and he knew it was a really great idea.
And he knew other people would want to copy it.
So Jacob Davis had the idea to patent the points of strain, the actual rivet itself, but he didn't have enough money for the actual patent. So he went to the guy that he was getting the actual fabric from.
So who is this chap?
Levi Strauss.
Levi Strauss ran a successful gold rush supply business in San Francisco. So crucially, he had the money for the patent that Davis needed for his improved jeans.
So Jacob Davis goes to his supplier and
Correct.
says, let's do this together.
He was just a humble little tailor. It was a lot of money back then to patent anything, but he knew it was an ingenious idea, so they both went in it together.
And for some reason, one name has come through history and the other name hasn't.
The patent was granted on May 20th, 1873, and the Levi Strauss jeans were born. But how did the jeans go from humble workwear to the iconic clothing worn by princes and presidents, rockers and rappers? Mohsin's home is a shrine to the history of jeans, with a collection of over 3,000 pairs.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
It's fantastic. So when does this transition happen from workwear into what has to be called fashion wear?
It was roughly in the 30s period where you start seeing it in vogue now.
At the time, the dude ranch craze saw city dwellers visiting the Wild West for a taste of the cowboy lifestyle. And jeans were the go-to garment. And in the post-World War II period, denim was embraced by Hollywood as a garment of rebellion.
So these important films that featured these Hollywood celebrities from Marlon Brando to James Dean to Marilyn Monroe, they influenced a lot of what people should be wearing, and they were considered the coolest of the cool.
This expression of counterculture was cemented by the hippie movement of the late 1960s, and jeans became a mainstream fashion favourite. Today's jeans have changed little since 1873, with Jacob Davis's rivets still a key element of the design.
Quite a fun video. My plan is to do lots more of these historical videos, and it's like Beyza, it's always nice having a video that explains it for you. So yeah, it starts with the rivet. Absolutely none of us would be in this room if it wasn't for that rivet patent. But you know, these two chaps are very, very important, but no one seems to remember poor old Jacob Davis, so which is quite sad. But yeah, there it goes. And we know so much about it because of the patent, and our American friends they patented everything, so that's why we know so much about the reason for it, which is quite funny. And the patent was only for the points of strain; it wasn't for the garment yet, which is quite interesting. The very first garment that Jacob Davis actually made was a duck canvas. It wasn't blue at this stage, but literally only within a few months, I believe, they started doing indigo. So the very first essences of an overall were a duck canvas, and this is a reproduction that Levi's actually made for their 150th anniversary, which is quite fun. And I managed to snag one. I don't know how I managed it, but I got one, which is crazy because they sold out within like 1 minute. But in their archive itself, they have got some pieces, but actually the Levi's archive hasn't got a lot of pieces, which is quite sad. But the pieces that they do have are very, very special. This is one of their oldest duck garments that I got to inspect together with my wife, and it's going to be. I've actually like reverse engineered it a few times, but I was there to really take the measurements, and I was allowed to do it because I've got that historian tag, which is quite fun. But there's other garments that are also important. This garment here is the triple pleated blouse from 1874. Levi say it's 1880. But the archaeologist who found it, which is Mike Harris, told me he found it in a pile of 1874 pieces. So I'll probably go with the archaeologist more. But it's such a beautiful piece, and it doesn't matter about the date too much. But you know, Levi's knew this garment existed, but they had no physical version of it until Michael Allen Harris found it. This is the only known piece that's in this particular state. The pleats are tiny; they're really small. It's got the twin needle is amazing, like 1/8 that goes into a 3/16. It's absolutely stunning. It fits women better than men. It's just a stunning piece. And I was lucky enough to examine it as well. Very, very honoured. And then, yeah, so if you're lucky enough and crazy enough, you can still buy these kinds of pieces. I have friends who go down mines. I have friends who go and spend $250,000 friends of mine who actually do this kind of work. But paupers like us will probably only get the replica. But if you're lucky enough to have something like this, then yeah. But I've got scraps as well. But even those scraps are worth hardly nothing. But us designers, what we love about these old garments is how they're worn in. We can learn so much about the indigo, the kind of cotton, how it was spun, even the weave, even the texture about it. And we try and replicate it, not to copy, but to learn and examine. And yeah, it's quite fun. Even the replicas that Levi's have made, they've had to make them again and again. Every 10 years, they realize they made a mistake and they quickly just make it again. And then they change the pocket shape slightly. So, I've got replicas of what they've done, but I think are perfect. And then 10 years later, they do another one, which is slightly tweaked because they found something else, which is fine, which is great. So it's good that they're being transparent. These garments were miners' garments. Up until the 30s, there weren't anything else. So it's a lovely story. And even the shape of the pocket is for that reason. But all the marks from the mine, and the mine's got a lovely story because it's full of rocks as well. And here we are talking about HMS. But it's a lovely thing when it's linked back to things like this. But yeah, these garments were made for miners, and all the details for them were for that particular sort of reason. Even like this chap here is wearing a bit of rope around it. There's no belt loops yet at this sort of stage. That came in about 2022. And yeah, you can, if you're lucky, find these old garments. And I've got a few like this, and I'm really lucky to have them. But for me, I examine it for its wash pattern and its dirt marks. And I've got even things that are still in a bag with the dirt from the mine. I'm nervous to even wash it. I'm nervous what it's going to just turn into something else. So I just want to preserve it as it is. But the reason why things fade and the reason why we're all here is because of a particular process of how our denim garment is actually made. It's done with a rope dyeing process where we use a shed load of water to do it. And it is a lot of water, like 3 big baths of fresh water. Then the indigo dye, which is often dipped 6 or whatever times. Then more fresh water. If you want a darker dip, you go around again. Our Japanese friends have been known to do it 30 times sometimes. So it's quite mad. But this process itself is magic. It is magical if you get to see it. But the amazing thing is, and the reason why our denim fades and chips off, because the core is still white. That's the important thing. And yeah, and then the indigo is only just on the outside. Can you see, even with the naked eye, you can still see that white core. But our story with the dye itself, it doesn't come from a petrochemical. Right now, most of the jeans that we're wearing in this room, maybe not Adriano's, it's probably done with a petrochemical. Originally, when Levi Strauss and these early pioneers that were making denim garments around the 1860s period, Levi's claimed to invent the first blue jean. It's not really correct. There were other people doing blue and indigo garments in workwear slightly earlier. But it came from the Indus Valley region, which is in modern day Pakistan. So the best indigo was sourced. But our story in like Europe is slightly different. Obviously, we were importing indigo in from India. Most of our European friends didn't even know where it came from. It just came in rock rock form. But in Europe, we were dyeing with we were basically dyeing with like woad. So the earliest example, and our friends at Candiani in Italy, they found and they examined, they did a big old project, and they figured out the earliest known indigo garment was from the 12th or 15th, like sort of that century, most likely cotton or hemp and like linen as well. And also the important thing is here, the weft part, which is normally the white part, was the indigo part. So it's kind of like reverse. But really, really, really beautiful. I managed to get a swatch of the reproduction of the fabric. But yeah, I'm not going to make anything with it. But yeah, but our story is sort of interesting. So after the whole gold rush period, and then the cowboy period, and then the whole celebrity thing happened in like the 30s, and the two great wars. The only way people could break in their jeans, as it were, was they used to either wear them, they used to buy them a size bigger, knowing that they're going to shrink. We hadn't invented clever spinning like technology yet. and they would actually shrink them, and there was obviously things to them to make them shrink them better or to make them fit better. So, but a lot of the time, everything up until the 70s was pretty much raw, which is quite fun. And then we get to the designer denim period. So this is actually the period where a lot of things change. We change the types of looms we're using. We change the type of cotton we're spinning. We're now going to open-ended, slightly more weaker. Only because the looms were bigger, they had to make a different type of sort of cotton. But the result is the denim in this period is kind of different, and it's more like uniform. But something interesting happened in this period. We started to wash jeans for the first time, and it's in this period, and it's kind of hotly debated. We have one of our guests here that can definitely answer a lot of our questions. But Edwin and Adriano Goldschmied and sort of Francois Gigot, they came up roughly at the same time of washing denim, roughly at the same time. They're all heading in the same right direction, and they all claim it as well. So everyone, it's not about who actually started it first. There was a movement to try and wash jeans because loads of younger people didn't want to have these raw jeans anymore. They were just washing them to like sort of beat them up, right, sir? To actually beat them up. So quite an important story. But the process of washing garments, if any of you have been to a garment manufacturing process, I'm sure some of you have, is quite alarming. You know, I've been to places where it's in a basement, it's a wet floor, it's an environment that I'm in like 12 hours or 8 hours a day, and there's people that do this like 6 days a week. Not a nice environment to be in. And then, you know, this is not a recent picture, but there are places that are kind of still like this, where they're not treating any of the chemicals at the end of the process. You know, it's not like a beautiful ETP plant, which is like treating the water where you can practically drink it and they use that same water again to dye. So there's a lot of harsh things that are going on. And you know, and then all the chemicals we use to wash and like degrade our garments, we're still doing it. And is it necessary? Not really. But we're talking to a room where a lot of people know about this. But stonewashing is what we're really here to talk about. And stonewashing has been around for a while now, but very, very popular in like the 80s. And which is you know, I love stonewashed jeans. I remember as an 80s kid, but hearing so much about the sludge and everything else, like Beyza saying, and I knew about this as well. You know, you have to, the companies that make all the sludge, like a factory that makes jeans and has a washing plant, and they have to get another company to collect all the sludge. God knows what happens to that sludge. You know, it's dump it or something. There's only one factory that I know of, Cytex in Vietnam, that collects that sludge and makes bricks. Amazing, it makes hospitals sludge for it. But not everyone can actually do that. And most designers, our daily routine is actually designing washes for a living. We have to design 20 to 50 washes every season. Some of them have to be quite exciting. Not everyone gets to do authentic stuff all the time. So it's the most extreme and the most fashion, and anything goes. When I started in my career, I didn't even notice. I just did the most craziest shit I could, you know. But now I wouldn't even do that ever again. I wouldn't. I'll be very conscious about, it's going to take a lot of time to do that, and that poor guy's going to be doing it. No, let's try and figure out a clever, a cheap way, a faster way of actually doing it. But going back to the original slide, these early garments, you know, this is the very exciting, like, Nevada jean from the Levi's archive. Notice it's got one back pocket. It's got a tool pocket for the hammer. There's the coin pocket or the match pocket is slightly above. Has no belt loops yet. It's got a pleat. Absolutely stunning. Single needle, like tailored. Wowzers. You know, but it's one of the reasons it looks super exciting. It's done with natural indigo. The chemical indigo came around 1897 when they started to commercialize it and it became everywhere. And then cone came in 1904 from like sort of white oak. Not much natural indigo there. You know, their history is interesting, but it's all fine. But I like researching garments from the past and learning from them. And I'm not young anymore, but I've learned in centimeters, but now I've converted into inches. So learning about this garment, which is a really historically amazing garment, we can date it quite quickly because there's a period from 1873 or 2 from 1880 where no one could do like rivets because Levi's had the patents. So this clever chap put his pocket so it's inside the waistband, inside the yoke. Sorry, the cinch buckle for extra strength. Amazing. But when Mike Hoddes made this replica, he learned it was actually a 1/8 twin needle stitch all the way around. Stunning. For me, I honestly believe the future is hardly with no metal. It's with no like rivets. It's very different to what it is now. A blasphemous thing I'm saying. There's certain things that we've done that we don't need to do any sort of anymore. And the fibers that we're using, as Beyza sort of mentioned, we have to use fibers that can, first of all, don't harm the planet, don't harm us. And if we wash them and if we put them in the ground again, they will all disappear. And the evils of polyester, can't say it enough. The amount of polyester that's everywhere in all of us right now. You can find a credit card amount in each of us right now. But this is a funny little label warning this garment contains 100% polyester. A sort of derivative of crude oil, sheds microplastic when machine wash, harmful if swallowed. It should be in every single polyester garment. It won't be, but it should be. But yeah, enough of me talking about that. So now I'm going to call up our very first guest. It's Mr. Besim, and he's a fantastic chap. So now we're on to a panel. So we're going to do lots of talks now. I hope you enjoyed that little talk I did. And then we're going to have Besim. It's going to be quite fun. Besim works for Bossa. He's one of the managing sort of directors. Very, very important. But he's also a farmer as well. So he's one of these clever chaps that if you've got any questions about farming and denim and everything in between, he's your guy to ask because he does all of it. So welcome, sir. So obviously your company is quite vertical. You spin. You weave, you also make garments, you wash garments. So it's quite rare, there's not many companies, there's only few in the planet that do all that. A lot of our Japanese guys.
For your information, yes, some contracted cotton production as well.
You do have, I see, sorry.
I have some cotton fields as well.
I've seen his cotton fields, I've seen his brown cotton fields, I've seen his hemp developments. It's one of the earliest fields I went to where they were using marmora hemp from France. Quite impressive. So when it comes to, okay, let's start from the beginning. When you started in your career, the types of chemicals and the types of things that you were doing to destroy jeans, we're talking in the 80s and the 90s when it was really, really popular. Was it, how harsh was it?
Actually, I'm in the industry, textile industry, about 30 years.
Okay.
And for the last 18 years, I'm working for Bossa. And at the time when I started Bossa, the thing that you made a wonderful summary about the history, but I had seen some of that summary as well in my life, in my own eyes. For example, at the first day, we were only talking about the conventional cotton, we were only talking about the conventional laundry, and day by day everything has changed. For example, the first thing I had seen in my career, it was about 8 years ago, we get the ozone.
Ozone, yes.
Yes, the ozone. But ozone is a wonderful solution, but get a lot of challenges.
And that's to reduce bleach, right? So it's got an alternative to bleach. Yes. Okay.
Yes, and but the challenge that we have faced at those days, if you cannot keep the ozone level in the right figures, you can ruin your fabrics. You are going to totally demolish your fabrics. It's going to be weak and you can tear by your hands.
And it's quite fast. It's quite a fast process. So
yes, it's very fast, but you can dye the lycra, kill the elastomer.
Yes.
You can kill the cellulose. So it's very risky. But it was so fun. We made a lot of trials with those ozone machines in our factory. In some cases, it was helpful. Then, as time goes by, we have started the new fibers. At the beginning of my career, it was only cotton. Now we get all fancy fibers such as recycled cotton, such as day by day more lyocell. And everyone wants to hear these fancy fibers, but these fancy fibers has got a lot of challenges. The biggest challenge that we are facing, they are not durable. It's very hard to play with that. For example, especially with the recycled cotton, the fiber length is so short. And if you do not treat it very well in your company, I'm sorry to tell you that you are not going to get a wonderful denim pants at the end of the day, because it's going to be so weak that you are going to have a very weak denim fiber that we hate. And therefore, we made a lot of researches in the industry, and we find that this HMS is one of the best solutions in the industry because the conventional stones are so tough and whenever you play with that in the recycle, in the lyocell or in the light onsures, you get a lot of problems. But with the HMS, you don't have any problems. So in some cases, it's a very wonderful solution. And at the back, you can see some of our articles there. We got recycled articles, we got some hemp articles, we got some lyocells.
And all of them have been washed with HMS.
And we got some shirting articles, with the shirting articles, with the conventional, with the conventional stones, you can have a lot of headaches there. So it's a wonderful solution. Thanks a lot. And thanks for inviting me here as well.
Oh,
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so now, first, let's just make sure we get this right. We got the Godfather himself, Adriano Goldschmied with us. Now, you know, he doesn't travel to England very much, and when he makes sure he does the rounds. He saw a dog earlier yesterday. I saw it on Instagram, so that's quite good. But you know, very, very important chap. And not only was he at the forefront of doing all this interesting, like fun development as like sort of like Besim Ozek, he's also now spent a lot of his time in his later part of his career trying to undo some of that stuff and find solutions to a lot of the things that have come along the way. And it's a great thing. He didn't have to do it, and he's now educating younger people on how to do things in a much more better and sustainable way, and still getting the effects of an amazing jean that fits amazingly well. So Adriano, please join us. That would be great. Next, Federico is an amazing influencer. I met him. If any of you see any of his Instagrams or like YouTubes, man, they're so engaging. He talks so well, and so I remember one of his videos got like 200,000 likes or something. But it's actually a good video. So it's not just like that. He actually does really good content, and he knows his stuff. He goes to all of the factories. He goes to like Tornello. He gets his hands deep in everywhere where he goes. He doesn't just report stuff and doesn't actually see it. He goes and see it. And he joined me actually in like Munich. I was doing a sewing masterclass with like brother sewing machines. He was there at every single masterclass, wanted to learn every single step. And then he did a video about it, which he didn't have to, and he got thousands of likes again. So welcome, sir. So thank you. And then, of course, we've got someone who I've known for many, many years. And this is a lady who actually I met at a Denim Dudes party, 2015 or 14. This amazing young girl came up to me. She goes to me, "You're mental. You're mental." And then I just remembered it. I was bowing down at Timberland. I was at Timberland for 4 years. And I said, who can I get to replace me? That really cool denim designer that I met at that party. So I got her in and she got the job. So this is like Leanne. Now, if you've been following her actual career, she's basically been heading up Black Horse Lane in their washing like the adventure. She's been doing that for many, many years. She's set up their wash lab. She's not only an amazing designer, she's a designer that knows how to wash properly. Not just give a picture and expect a technician to do it. She is that sort of technician. So there's not many designers that I know who know that aspect as well. So Leanne, please come. I think I've done it right. Okay. Question time. Oh.
Leanne can go there, and then I'll just sit here.
Yeah, Leanne, you can go here. And then, of course, now we have to get Beyza up here because it's obvious what's going to happen in these kind of panel talks. There's going to be a bit of cross-talking going on and all that business. So let's begin. So Adriano, first of all, with your years of experience firsthand, can you share the serious environmental consequences that you've seen in your lifetime?
We saw a picture that in some way was, in my opinion, dramatic. It was a picture of an Italian mountain totally destroyed from taking the stones.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is a subject that very few are talking about. But one other thing that, in my opinion, are very important, not only in the washing, but everything we do, is all the time we take something from nature, we have to be able to return.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the case of the stones, nobody can return stones. You know, it's funny because that island that is called Lipari, that is close to Sicily, is exactly the place where I had the idea to make the stonewash.
Okay.
I had one of the very few vacations that I had was I was on the beach of Lipari. And I was coming from a very bad experience because we had this idea of distressing the jean. And I went to Martelli with the stones that I collect in a river close to Martelli. We did the wash, we destroyed 2 machines. Martelli was mad with me. And so after that I went to vacation and I saw the stones floating on the sea. And so I had this idea, my God, we destroyed the machine because they are too heavy, that's a solution. And so we called the mine that was there and we started developing the stones. The funny thing about the stones is that the stonewash is at that time, as you said, it was no communication. And probably we had more or less the same time, the same idea.
Yeah.
You know, Edwin in Japan and Francois in France. Everybody is thinking was the first. The truth is that we don't have somebody judging our time.
No, but I remember I worked at Edwin back in 2002 or 3, and they claimed it was them as well. So it's a strange story when people want to be first, but it's not about being first. Everyone was coming roughly to the same idea.
It's about having a good idea and make it happen. You know, that is the most important thing. Anyhow, talking about the stones, in my opinion, there are many things that we have to consider. First of all, conservation, as I said, because if you go to Mexico, you go to Italy, and if you go to Turkey, you have the same thing as in that picture. Second, I would say stones are lasting not a long period of time because the abrasion is creating a kind of sand and mud, and there are a lot of things that they are negative. First of all, they are creating a lot of problems to the machines because the sand, the abrasion, the basket is going to last not a long period of time. With HMS, this one doesn't happen. You know, that is a very important thing, especially when you talk to the laundry, when they have to buy a new machine, they're not very happy.
Right? Yeah.
You know. Second thing is the water. The water is very, very dirty, and basically is very difficult to clean. Not only difficult, but also cost a lot of money. And we don't have that problem with the HMS because they are clean, the water is clean. Of course, we have to clean the water, but the process is much more simple, you know. And then we have the problem of the mud, you know, that is honestly is terrible. Also because, as you said, as Beyza said, it's very difficult to recycle the mud because there are chemicals, there are a lot of products, and we are not really able to clean it, to recycle. And honestly, also, a lot of people are making a kind of breaks for construction. But honestly, I don't want to live in a house where the bricks are full of chemicals, and so I don't think it's a solution.
True.
The other thing from the aesthetic point of view. Stones are, maybe somebody likes it, maybe somebody doesn't, but they're giving a shade, a kind of light gray shade to the denim. Sometimes could be a plus, but honestly for me it's not. Especially when you work with 100% pure indigo, you like to have the real color of the indigo that has a kind of red cast. Okay, and so bottom line, I found that there is no comparison. What I think is important, I know that you will get working on that, is what is a handicap. The handicap obviously is the cost of money.
It's more expensive than
they are more expensive. The truth is that let's say we should have a serious costing, considering also all the not direct costing, like usage of the machine, clean the water, recycle the mud, and also one thing that is not secondary today, transportation. Means HMS, you make, for instance, a container, and this container is lasting for
a long time.
Years.
Yeah.
Okay. The
So it, kind of,
stones,
it pays for itself. in some
every
ways.
2 months, a new container.
Okay. Cool. Anyway, super.
I mean, obviously, it is a big difference.
I would like to also add, we have the costing here. I can
Oh,
also show
sorry.
it.
I think
No,
you were hand signing me. I didn't get it. There
We
you
did
go.
this after Mr. Adriano told us that we should do a costing exercise. We actually did it with real data from one of our biggest customers. And people usually just compare the cost of pumice to HMS, which is kind of unfair because pumice is like, I don't know, it's like so much cheaper, but then it's the sludge removal that costs so much more than itself. So we got data from how much water they're saving, how much energy they're saving, because you don't need to heat up the water with HMS as opposed to pumice. And the removal of sludge, as you can see, it actually accounts for 70% of the savings. And also additional chemicals, you need so much less chemical when you use HMS. So this is something that all the vendors want to see, and they should understand it first, so that if a brand wants their denim like sustainably washed, the vendor is probably gonna be like, oh, it's expensive then, you know. But then
it's education, right? It's we need to get more people aware of
exactly,
alternatives now.
exactly. So yeah, it's all about this. So yeah, this is what we did.
Okay, I've got more questions.
Yeah.
So let's keep going.
Sorry.
Don't worry at all. I'm going to go over to like Leanne now. Yeah. So, being a bona fide specialist in washing now, having set up your own lab, and you know how to take apart the machine as well, which is quite mad. So how these alternatives yourself, you've been exploring yourself at Black Porcelain. How have you been finding using HMS compared to the stuff you've been using?
So at Black Porcelain, our kit is all Tonello. So I am actually quite spoiled. I have some of the best machinery and tech in the market. And with the Tonello machine came the no-stone plates, which were
the drum, where you put the metal drums in.
yeah. So these are the plates that slot into the drum, and you can take them out. And I experienced that several months that my hands were getting slightly destroyed, but I mean, it was doing a good job with the product. You resurface these plates with Tonello, but before we'd done that, we thought we'd explore other options. So we tried HMS, and Beyza came in and showed us all this amazing data, which you've seen the snippet of here.
But did it improve the workflow and the like efficiency of how you're working?
So yes and no. It's not straightforward answer to that. So yes, it does. So in terms of the time for the wash, I get quicker results and wash down 2 stones. But because I've got an teeny tiny sampling machine, I don't have one of the fancy ones that you saw with the grill. So when the drum tilts forward and then you've got this grill, the stones come out. I have to like lift 20 kilos of stones into the machine myself, and then stop the machine.
That's
open
above
the
your
door.
shoulder line, right? It's not that. It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah. So the little window, I do it in the little sampling window,
Yeah.
and then with a tiny jug, so it's a few rounds, and then I open the door and shake out all the stones individually per garment.
But the overall quality, that's the thing. And all these guys are asking, does it look the same? Does it feel the same?
I think it looks better.
Okay.
So not against no stone plates whatsoever, but the hit ratio on that compared to the stones actually physically in the drum moving around gives a totally different look in my opinion. No stone plates were great. I did find some limitations with fabric constructions. If it like had a raised twill, you was getting like an easier wash down in combination with maybe an enzyme or a slightly more abrasive enzyme. But with the no stones, I don't really need any enzyme. So it's moving around, and my work time on that step of the recipe is massively reduced because the more quantity of garment you put in the drum, actually you reduce. So even from sampling into production, you like reduce again in the set time.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool to know. We'll go and visit Leanne. She's got cool aprons as well. You got an apron that you've been wearing the whole time. It's dungaree. Excuse me.
Yes.
And it looks quite awesome actually. I want to photograph it from my next archive with my told already.
Yeah, I can't pour to save my life, so it's all over.
Yeah, it looks like someone's been physically sick, but it's actually it looks amazing.
I did also test Beyza a little bit with her data, and I weighed the stones before and after to see about the breakdown, and it was entirely correct.
Pretty rare. You need to do your sort of due diligence.
I mean, I studied mathematics, so I had to calculate it all. So.
Okay, moving on. Customer education time. So, like sort of like Federico, obviously, you've been at the cornerstone of transparency, doing so many videos about production processes, washing facilities. How have you been finding testing and using HMS and educating other people and educating yourself about it? How have you been finding it?
No, I mean, I've been here, as you said, in many washing facilities and manufacturers. And the first time I asked them, do you know about HMS? And some of them in Italy, they didn't. But I told them to get in contact with Beyza to try to replace the pumice because we've seen what this does to the environment. So I think there needs to be a few steps taken, which might be part of all the steps in the manufacturing process. I feel like that if this kind of info reaches not only the business insiders like fashion insiders as we are in this room, but even the final consumer, it would be even better. And that's what I try to do every day with my content. And because consumers vote with their wallet, I guess. So if can be some changes in this kind of industry, it should start from both sides of the line.
Well, that's a great segue. So obviously he's talking about B2C now. So you've been experimenting a lot with the designer pens as well. You're one of the first designers, I believe, that to even mess with it. But how have you been finding using those? And Beyza's invented a couple of different new shapes as well, from your guidance art, I believe.
Yeah, we have this the first prototype here of the collab we're making with HMS with Beyza. So we're trying to bring this kind of pencil in the households, we could say, of every person, every consumer that it's interested in this in denim and the beauty of this product and this fabric, so they can understand and experiment at their own homes what you can do with a product like HMS and in which beneficial ways they can replace stones.
What's fun about this stone, and I think I'm an ideas man, if any of you know who I am, and I tell Beyza straight away, you need to make really fun, exciting colours, exciting shapes. And so she goes, I'm going to do a moon shape next. So actually, you can mold this into any shape. Oh, there we go. Let Leanne hold it. But if you have an idea for it, and then now she's making. I think Beyza did a workshop at Black Horse Lane, and she made the Black Horse Lane logo in that. Gave it as a gift. So it's amazing what you can do with this list of stuff. But quite fun. But anyway, moving on. Adriano, the aesthetic compromises that you've been finding. You said it achieves really great it treats it in really very light washes as well, right? HMS. So light washes are quite difficult to do in stone washing because it destroys the garment really, really quickly. How have you been finding that? In your
First of all, I hate the word compromise. I'm not the right person, but at the end, we face the problem every day. Means that what is our goal as a designer is at the end to create a product that one day, not today, is zero impact.
Yeah.
Not only today, mostly we talk about sustainability, but consider also that designing today, circularity is also a very, very important point. So when we start designing, obviously, the most important thing is to do more we can. Obviously, also, we have to think about the price, efficiency, the method of work, the fact that the process is healthy for the workers, a lot of things. And obviously, in every decision that you make, you have to do the best you can. So at the end, it is a compromise, because also sometimes you choose something that is good for you in your opinion, but is bad for something else. Yeah. So you have to balance basically what you do. I tell you,
yes,
we are talking of HMS, and from my point of view, HMS is a compromise. I just remember the first time that Beyza came to me, showing to me the synthetic stones. That, by the way, they are not new in terms that, in Japan they've been trying and this and that. To be honest, never been successful, not even comparison with the success that Beyza has. But she came in and I said, I don't care. For a reason, because my goal is to wash a jean without water.
Yeah.
That is my final goal. The reality is that think about how many laundries there are around the world. Think about if one day we are able to make a little step. That means instead of making an eco-disaster, you do something better. So that, what I'm saying, is a typical compromise. You have in mind something, but you have to choose what is possible and what can really change the story of the wash. Honestly, I have to give credit to her, because if we are able to convince the industry, to use HMS, is going to be a big, big change.
Well, it's definitely amazing that we got a young person sort of fronting it. Someone, that's the thing. When I met Beyza, I was impressed by her, really. Then that's what impressed me the most. And then I was like, this clever girl who's really clever has decided to go into a family business, which could have just had a good living doing something else. So yeah, she also believed in that changing, like in that sort of narrative. I want to open it to nearly at the end, guys. I know you're eager to go outside and play with these friends. Questions for the panelists. We're going to do a Q&A as well, so don't worry. What do you see as the main barriers in actually preventing the wider industry adoption? So the main issues why lots of people haven't been jumping on sustainable. I'll start with Leanne first. Sorry. Obviously, you're at the forefront. You're meeting young designers, established designers. You got a big fancy sort of tornado machine, 1 foot away from you when you're talking to them. So it's in their face, a different way of working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's education. Federico's did an amazing job by going and trying to educate the consumer, who, as you said, has got the ultimate wallet, right?
Yeah.
Unless the the demand is coming from the other end of the triangle, we're never going to get that need from the suppliers to use it, unfortunately, and legislation. Like until legislation comes in that we have to be better and find alternative ways and become accountable for the
sludge that's produced.
The evidence that is coming out from the factories, then no one's really going to do anything, unfortunately.
There are sustainable factories like yourself that are in the middle of a town centre or in just inside Zone 1. They now exist. In Candiani have their one in the middle of Milan, right? So a fully fledged factory. But yeah, so
I think it's just education and like the open costing sheets and like that kind of stuff as well. Like that is education. That's like no, and as Adriano says, very rightly, it's not just like a plain simple cost. It goes into machinery. It goes into like people, sustainability, environmental. Like it's huge. It's not an easy answer.
And like Federico, what do you see as the main challenges for? Oh, excuse me. Federico, well, what do you see as the main challenges for adopting more sustainable practices?
I feel like for every kind of business, people is scared of change, So when Beyza's project HMS is all backed up by numbers and everything. You have all the insights, all the data. But yeah, I'm feeling that I know people that work in those factories. I know their managers, whatever. The first, they always take this kind of change, revolution with, by raising their brows, let's say. So I think it's kind of difficult to have achieved this kind of revolutions in a short span of time, unless, as I was saying, there is some kind of regulation, maybe for countries or from institution that maybe begins to set a year, a date when this kind of practice needs to be banned, and maybe get in the sustainable alternative to it. Because if there isn't any regulation about that, people will still do the same.
So we've got a few more questions here, but I think it might be better to open it up to them if they've got questions for anyone here. So does anyone? I've got some great questions about retail, amazing questions, and future innovation, which sounds really cool. But I think I want to hear from you guys. We've got some amazing people here on our panel. Has anyone got questions for them? Anyone got questions? Raise your hand. If not, I'll go to my own questions. Go for it, Adam.
Hi, Beyza. I just have a question from a dyeing background. Have you ever, you or your father, considered combining the dye with the stones to eliminate the water?
Actually, yes, we have, and we're actually working on it. It's so funny that you asked. So we are doing research and development all the time, and that's how we came up with like HMS slide, and we are actually trying to find a solution for acid wash too by including some PP replacements into the stones, which is possible. So we are also trying to go into the dyeing process as well. We are working on it, but yeah. Thank you.
Amy, go for it.
For those of us who use Genealogia's EIM scoring to measure our impact of our gardening, have you measured the impact difference between conventional stones and
Oh my god, I'm so
great question.
I'm so happy that you brought it up because I was like, okay, I need to do it like super basic, maybe, like not to bore anyone. Yeah, we are actually the only stone on the EIM system with a green score. And so the difference is pumice gives you a red score. It's like 100 chemical impact, and then HMS gives you a green score, and we are very proud of that. They recently actually launched a success story about us from Genealogia too. So yeah. Other than that, if you guys are interested in other vetting processes, we also have like a no microplastic university analysis report. We are ZDHC approved. We have the patent, so we really like to move like a scientist and back up our claims. So yeah. Thank you for asking.
I have got one exciting question. I'll come back to it in a minute. Don't worry. The end is going to be more about you guys. For the panelists, final question: what innovations in denim washing are you most excited about, and where do you see the greatest need for continued development? Two-part question. I can say it again. So we're looking ahead, what innovations in denim washing are you most excited about? Let's start with that. Start with Adriano.
Let's say my goal is not to wash.
Not to wash.
Only
So not to wash means you've got a lot of raw jeans that you
obviously it's a dream in some way. Let's say the final goal is to make, I realized a few years ago, simplicity means in the early 90s, we was painted to be artists, washing the jean, the hand paper, sandpaper, we was painting. Then when I went to China and I saw a picture of Greenpeace, I realized it's not the way. So what we have to do is, in my opinion, to make processes that they are simple, that all the factories around the world can learn easy. For instance, when I did, we was talking about the light washes. I did last year, for instance, some tests on, let's say, very light colors. And I made a very simple process that was in the same machine to have HMS and the Lumia from Sofia. Okay? What happened? That if you are using only Lumia, you arrive to a certain kind of color. If you put it together, basically HMS is opening the fiber, and the effect of, let's say, bleaching is much stronger. What I'm saying, bottom line, that the story of Make It Simple is very important, because I remember in the 90s, for instance, we was in and out for like 6, 7, 8 times in different machines, and that is basically impossible to repeat.
I have a question, but I'm sure most of us want to answer, but what's the most difficult wash what's the most wash that's taken the most amount of time to create? Like, is it a 4-day treatment, or is it a 1-week treatment that you did? What's the most in your career, what's been the most wash recipe heavy wash you've ever created?
Let's say at the beginning of the stone wash, I had a company called Replay that was came into the market, not in the jean, only on the shirts. And basically our goal was to make a very heavy stone wash on the shirts. And we was very extreme, and we was doing on the shirts 2 hours stone wash. And honestly, it was very, very difficult to control. And we had to put on the price like 40% of rejects. And I know the story of the coating, the story of special treatments, and that was a difficult time.
I think that's a nice way to. Any questions before we go outside and enjoy ourselves? Any further questions? Yes, please.
From me, obviously, I don't expect you to tell us your patterns, your patent secrets, and all. But what is this made of?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, because I was thinking I didn't tell that. So you saw the mining process. During that mining process, there's some dust that comes out, and then it also goes to landfills. It doesn't have any value. We collect that dust, and it's pretty easy for us because it's in Turkey. The biggest mines are in Turkey. We collect that dust that normally goes to landfills, and we mix it with our patented binders that do not contain any plastic, that are ZDHC approved. and then we get the stone, and we somehow get it with the patented production as well to have holes in it. Just like pumice. It's inspired by that, so that it works until the last point. And you may ask, well, there's pumice in it. So the binders that we are working with make the stone hydrophobe, and that's why there's no sludge. So I hope that answered your question, but if it was confusing, please follow up any follow-up questions.
You're speaking to one of the most knowledgeable people about it. She's I work with Galata. Yeah, she's a hardcore nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. So.
By the way, the difficult washes I forgot about.
Yeah,
what was a nightmare? It was the resin.
The resin ones.
Oh, my God.
Some of these resins are coming back,
Yeah, but at the time it was a lot of rejection to find the right formula was really. Today is normal, but honestly at that time was really difficult.
Any questions for the panel before we go outside, guys? Any questions? You're eager to have a drink and have that food as well. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure doing this, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And do mingle. There's workshops next door. This chap here is going to be doing workshops, so make sure you go and visit him. He'll show you what he does. And do introduce yourself to people. If there's someone you've always wanted to speak to, now's the chance to do it. So yeah.
I would like to have some closing remarks. We put some gifts for you guys, gift pouches that are designed by Sadia, Mr. Mohsin's wife. You have your own designer pen there that you can use. And other than that, we have some Daily Blue by Adriano garments that are non-denim that are washed. Our theme is denim, but non-denim also, it works at HMS. And then our sponsors were so kind to send the HMS washed garments, Beyza, Minority Denim, and Master that you can check out to see how it feels with our product. We are gonna go into the workshop where you're gonna get to try everything. I would like to lastly thank the Mills Fabrica for the space. Can
I say something? I see Catherine Hamlet here.
Oh, yeah.
That was
American Catherine Hamlet, by the way.
Support and creative support. And I would like to say thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to thank you for coming, and thank you so much for traveling all the way here, Mr. Adriano. Thank you, Federico, for coming here. Thank you so much, Leanne, for coming. Thank you, Mr. Mohsin, for everything. All right. And thank you, Sadia, for everything. So, yeah, thank you. We can all go to the workshop. There's also some food waiting for you, some drinks. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
We won't quite get to a whole state.
Yeah.
samurai.
Yeah.
This is a great example of
We are only selling fabrics, no garments.